Ladies and gentlemen, this is Felipe Osorio. Welcome to Second Earth Alternative. Though I have to be honest with you, I do not know if it's gonna continue to be Second Earth Alternative. If you haven't noticed, we've gone from basically averaging from, at one point actually we were averaging almost 100,000 views per video, to suddenly getting closer to the low hundreds. My God, am I that bad? Jesus. Point is, for those who have followed the episode, I think you will know that, not every episode is perfect, but we've had a pretty consistently good track record. It's not like the likes to dislikes ratio has dropped, as is evidenced by this particular video, which couldn't break past 1.5k views. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't matter how you're tracking, it doesn't matter how many people like your video. This channel has been completely just slam on the brakes type thing, it's I don't know what to do. So I'm at the situation where I think I'm gonna create a new channel. I think that this Second Earth channel, we probably just did too many touchy subjects, and there were too many people internally on YouTube who just saw it and they're like, no, let's put the shadow ban button on this one, I'm not saying that's how it works exactly. I do think that certain channels are given like a scoring system. So maybe our score is way off right now, and maybe it's time to start a new channel. And I wanted to kind of ask the audience what they think would be a great title for the new channel. Now, I'm thinking Strange Blue Dots. So it'd be like SBD vids, SBD news. SBD would be like the acronym for it. So I thought that would be kind of cool. It's kind of like a variation of Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dots. Let me know in the comments section if you guys come up with a title that ends up being better than that and you are willing to let me use the idea. I will definitely showcase you on the next episode when I introduce the new channel, which I'm thinking of doing as soon as next video. So enough of that, so let's get right into the UFOs that we have today. Now, one of our latest episodes regarding UFOs was regarding those strange diamond-shaped UFOs. And from my personal experience, from the individuals that I've come in contact with who supposedly have seen those type of crafts, it always seems like there's high strangeness related to them, as if those particular crafts are of specific sensitivity towards the ones who are trying to keep a lid on the whole UFO subject. And so today what I wanted to do was kind of go over the email and some of the images that they have, forensically analyze it. And I also want to go over an image from a particular individual who claimed to be an alien abduction victim. So the first viewer, his email says, I think you should apply for your own filters to the originals. This is what mine turned out when I used filters on Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Story behind this is I was driving down highway when I witnessed a diamond UFO spinning in the sky. I got my phone out and started snapping. These photos taken on April 9th, 2014 was just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. I do give you permission to do a video if you choose. They already got me back in 2015. Be careful, bro. I will, bro. I will definitely be careful. This is not the first warning that I've gotten from somebody who has witnessed a diamond-shaped UFO, surprisingly enough. So I found this pretty cool forensic programs. There are all kinds of photo forensic programs, but this is one that I particularly thought was kind of easy to use and had all the features that I needed. So I went ahead, and the individual that just gave me a warning, be careful, bro, he didn't just snap one images, he snapped an assortment of images. And let me show you what we got here. So this is the object in question. Here's one of the snaps that he took. Here is a second one. I don't see anything in this one. We got third one, nothing here. Fourth one, nothing there. One there. That's his own analysis of him trying to get the object to pop out. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. Is this photoshopped object, or is this something that was actually on the image itself? Now, looking at the luminance gradients, there's nothing about this object that particularly stands out as being fake so far. It kind of blends in with the images. Oftentimes when you insert an image, pixelation tends to be different. And so far, from everything that I've looked at, you look at the noise analysis, it seems to be within the same range of pixel density. it seems as if the object is within the sphere of the image, at least from my initial analysis. Now, if we were to go to the metadata, we see that this picture came straight off Samsung. The software was Google, and I believe in his email he did say he took it with his Samsung phone, so this matches his description. All in all, what this is indicating is that it most likely came out of his phone using some kind of Google software. Look, there's nothing about this image that stands out as being particularly off, but what I thought was kind of interesting about this image is that not do we just have this interesting object, we also have these things. So I'm not claiming that this is necessarily a UFO, though I think that this is more likely some kind of smudge, because when you do analyze some of these images, well, the ones in which seem like they're outside, because you can see the car right here, well, those ones you don't see those, what I'm claiming are smudge spots, right? It's only the images where it's obvious that it's being shot inside the car. You can see the windshield wipers, so it's obvious that this was shot inside the car. And zooming in, you can see kind of the little smudge spots over here. So when you do analysis, you definitely have to consider whether this could be a reflection. So the object in question, this little white object, I went ahead in Photoshop and started doing some analysis, and let me show you what we got here. Kind of interesting, nothing definitive about it, but I wanted to show you in reference to some of the other images. So if we fast forward, this particular image, you can tell was shot in a slightly different location because of the signs. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if we go back on this one, you see that there's no signs over here, but the object is there. You can see that cloud there. And so upon cropping it and just doing some basic analysis, we came up with something that looked something like this. Essentially, this is after increasing the size using Photoshop's image filters. Looking at this carefully, I'm seeing what I think to be rectilinear features. If I were to just kind of do a general guess of what the outlining could be like, this is what I kind of created. So you see what I mean, that it kind of has this like three-dimensional look. And this is just a guide to show you what I think I'm seeing. Now this one, what I did is I went ahead and I automated a process in the sense that every action that I took on Photoshop is being recorded. And so then I can reapply the action. I can reapply all the steps that I took. So after increasing the size, after doing some contrast, just to get more depth into this image, bam. Very cool. What's also interesting about this image is you have this weird circular, I don't know what you want to call that, force field, energy field, cloud, I don't know. It's something that is different from the surrounding atmospheric layers. So, and when you check out the meta-analysis of the image, what's kind of interesting is that that circle that seems to be different from the atmosphere, it's showing up here in this error analysis. But there's nothing particular about the pixels that indicates this is being cut out. So going ahead, this image, like I was showing you earlier, does not have an object. It seems as if he went outside of his car to take this one. And also no smudges, nothing that shows any form of reflection on these images. Now I want to go ahead and play you that series of steps that I took to do the first image. But yeah, let's just play it and see what happens to this image. All right, just zooming in a second, I kind of want to show you how structured this object is looking. And so looking at this, I'm seeing a reflection. Let's be honest. This has kind of rectilinear, strong, sharp features. Here's the object from the original image. So you tell me, what do you think? Random artifact? All right, so what do we got here? Aha, there's the object. It's a little bit light, so let me see if we can create another layer to darken this a little bit. Let's do one more linear light. And why not one more? So just using that particular series of action, we get this object. And the first analysis that I did, using different methodology, we got this object. To me, looking like the same result, the same object, almost like a flame. It looks almost organic in a way. Now, I'm sure that there's room for debate on this one, but I want to show you something that I thought kind of looked similar to this. And this is something that was reported by Linda Moulton Howe. What I thought was interesting was the description that this object was spinning. And I believe that people who saw the dragonfly type UFOs they also describe them as kind of spinning. And some people even talked about these coils creating kind of a thermal, almost plasma-like energy, which could help explain this flame-like object. Once again, huge speculation. I just kind of want to throw that out there for brainstorming purposes and just to get people's feedbacks of what they think these things could be captured in Cincinnati. And of course, that is not the only image that we have today. We have one that I want to show you from an individual who claimed to have been abducted by aliens. I kid you not, we actually did an alien abduction episode about this individual. Here's the image that he showed me, and boy oh boy, it's already looking very, very strange. Now, what I thought was really cool about this image is that you have the moon emanating very strong light, and you have the object down here, which also in its own constraints seems to be emanating its own source of light. Let's take this image and let's go ahead and give it a nice forensic analysis, and let's take a look at the metadata and see what we got here. This individual also captured his image from a Samsung, and except that his software is N960, whatever that code is. I actually did a quick search on that, and that code is the operating system for Android. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, it's the Pi Beta Android, basically. Yeah, he used basically an Android operating system with a Samsung phone, and that's all the software that he used. There's nothing about this that indicates any possibility that this could have been tampered with. So you got to think of this image as if it's taken directly from his cell phone. When we do error analysis, there's nothing particularly strange about this, at least not initially. When I do the luminance gradient, the object seems to be kind of embedded in the image. I don't see any indication that this was painted in there. And the reason why this looks so flat over here is because the moon has essentially blown out all of its pixels. So that's why you kind of see what looks almost like a perfect disk over there. So I think it's safe to say that this image does pass the forensic analysis. It does seem to be coming straight out of his phone. There's something very interesting about this image, and let me show you what I'm talking about here. So we're gonna go back into Photoshop, and let's go ahead and do a quick analysis. Okay, so we're back into Photoshop, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a little cropping of this image. And you know, there's a lot of gradient, so I'm gonna go ahead and take out some of the grain from this image, trying to look a little bit better. We're gonna increase the contrast. Go ahead and increase the exposure a little bit here. And then, so something else that I want to do is also, I wanted to go ahead and take the image and kind of play with the channel mixers to see if we can access any extra details on this image. Now, this isn't a perfect science, so you kind of have to play around with it and make sure that you're within the range of not overly distorting the image. But I think this is actually looking like we're capturing a little bit extra details, so let's stick with that. Let's go ahead and put the layer on top, and let's use this as a color layer. Okay, not too bad. And the last step is to increase the size. We're gonna use the Photoshop Preserve Detail 2.0, which is basically an artificial pixel predictive program. So it actually uses artificial intelligence to create new pixels. So let's go ahead and increase the size to 2000. Let's do this 150. Okay, so let's be honest. You're not gonna get a whole bunch of details from an image that is that small. But certainly what we do have here is two things. We have something that has that typical, let's see if we can draw it out so you guys can see a little bit better. So this is my feeling of what this thing probably or could be shaped like. So I'm just kind of increasing the, kind of darkening the edges so you can kind of see what's going on here. So that's kind of my prediction of what this thing looks like. Now, what's so cool about this object is that we have encountered in the past objects that look not too different from them. And let me show you some of the moon UFO images that we've featured before on this episode that I think you're gonna find kind of shocking, to say the least. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start showing you some of the images that we captured before. So here is images that we literally got from the NASA website itself. Here we have an object, and dare I say, it's looking rather green. Not sure how you feel about this, but after processing this image, let me show you what we got here. You know, you see that typical kind of saucer-like shape. You see that it has this kind of greenish tone. Look what happens when we process this. So, I mean, I've shown this before, but I just want to show it again because it's so remarkable that after processing this image with a channel filter, you not only get this force field-like effect around what looks to be a small object, but then you get this trail running perpendicular to the force field. And look, these NASA images are the ones that got me to start talking about UFOs flying like this vertically before Bob Lazar mentioned this in his documentary about the alpha state of how these objects move. Here's another one. Very interesting. Also, once again, you got that weird force field like thing, you got that green hue, and here is the end result. I mean, I look at this and I'm like, this is remarkable. You know, this is coming straight from NASA. You process the image, you get this weird, almost no pixels inside the actual blackness around it, as if you're seeing like a black hole within the object, like something that sucks in light. And then you get that weird exhaust that's running perpendicular to the force field. Do I know what that is? I don't know. It's space. You know, there is no such thing as exhaust in space, but certainly something seems to be emanating perpendicular from the object, and it's green, and it's shaped similarly to this one, which was not given by NASA, was not given on the moon, was simply given by somebody who claimed to be abducted by aliens, who I consider to be very credible, given all the information, all the images that he's given me, all the evidence that he's given me up to this point. And I wanted to finish off with probably what I consider to be one of my favorite all-time UFO images for two reasons. One of them, I also ended up discovering this in the NASA site. It's barely perceptible in a huge scaled image orbiting Earth. If you don't already see it, let me zoom in and show you what we got going here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a joke. This is a real image from the NASA archives. You know, and the question that hits you right in the face is, what the hell is this? What would be floating underneath a space shuttle, or I'm not sure if they're I'm not sure if they're in the space shuttle, but what would be floating just above Earth in such a high altitude? It ain't a balloon, that's for certain. And look what happens when we start playing around with the channel mixer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop this. Let's increase the image size to, I don't know, let's try 4,000. Using the same methodology, resolution, we can just make it 150. It doesn't have to be that big. So that's the object that we have. Now let me show you what happens when we put a channel mixer in this. Now, it doesn't take a lot of playing around to realize that this is probably not some random artifact. There is some really obvious three-dimensional structure to this object. Here is another variation of it. I can keep playing with this and show you how far this goes. This is if the colors were to suddenly get inversed. You see what's happening here? Okay, so I'm gonna stick with this one. And let's replicate this layer. And let's just make it a color file. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is so... I don't know how to say that. To me, it's so obvious, right? Look, these are just different layers. Soft light, hard light, vivid light. I mean, that is crazy. But there's something so real about this, right? Look at that. I mean, that to me is phenomenal. You want to talk about something that looks like a UFO coming straight out of the NASA archives. I mean, and the reason why I'm showing you this is the object is green. It's freaking green. Why? I don't know. But I'm noticing a lot of these UFOs that I'm seeing all over, that must be coronavirus. All these UFOs that I'm seeing, you know, I do have a hotel right here, so I really hope it's not somebody getting suddenly sick in a hotel. I literally, I'm situated like right underneath this like huge hotel, and it's like, I'm just thinking of all these people coughing and all the germs coming down in my apartment. I don't know. And so the reason why I wanted to show you this was to kind of give you this reference to show you that maybe, since you saw that the image from that cell phone from the alien abduction was captured from his phone, meaning there was no other alternate programs, given that the object was green, maybe, just maybe we're talking about something not that different from each other. So there you have it. You know, if you don't believe in UFOs, then, you know, please let me know in the comment section, and then let me know what you think this is. Given this thing was like up, like, I don't know, 100,000 feet or whatever. What do you guys think? There it is. Now, if you have images, if you have videos, if you have anything you would like to share with this channel, please contact me at EaFiles.contact@gmail.com. We keep everything confidential, everything anonymous. We will never publish anything unless, of course, you want us to and give us explicit permission to do so. Thank you so much for joining me. Maybe next time you guys join me, we might have a new channel, Strange Blue Dots. Also, let me know what you guys think about that title. And that is it for tonight. Have a great rest of the week. And, you know, guys, ladies and gentlemen, please take this coronavirus serious. Take proactive measures to protect yourself. Love you guys. This is Felipe Osorio, signing out.